Episode 5 of Landman Season 2 is the moment where the series quietly but decisively redefines itself. It does not rely on spectacle or shock to announce its importance. Instead, it deepens existing tensions, expands the scope of consequence, and forces every character into a position where denial is no longer possible. By the end of the episode, the audience understands that the story has crossed a point of no return. The rules that once allowed people to maneuver, delay, or compromise no longer hold. Up to this point, Season 2 has been methodical. Conflicts have unfolded gradually. Characters have convinced themselves that experience, patience, and careful negotiation would be enough to keep things from spiraling out of control. Episode 5 dismantles that belief. It reveals that many of the decisions made earlier were not temporary moves, but permanent commitments with consequences that can no longer be postponed. What makes Episode 5 so impactful is not any single scene, but the way it reshapes the meaning of everything that came before it. Conversations that once felt routine now feel loaded. Relationships that seemed stable now appear fragile. The episode reframes the season as something far more precarious, where control is fleeting and safety is an illusion.
Tommy, what is your father doing on the porch?
He's gonna stay with us a while.
How long is a while?
Till he dies.
A noticeable shift in tone. From its opening moments, Episode 5 carries a heavier tone. The pacing slows just enough to let tension settle into every scene. Characters speak more carefully. Silences linger longer than usual. There is a sense that everyone is measuring their words, aware that even minor missteps could trigger consequences they cannot undo. Earlier episodes balanced tension with a belief that problems could still be managed. Episode 5 removes that safety net. The tone suggests that the story is no longer building toward conflict. It is already inside it. The difference is subtle but unmistakable. The world feels less forgiving, less patient, and far more reactive. This tonal shift changes how the audience engages with the episode. Viewers are no longer watching characters prepare for difficult choices. They are watching characters live with them.
If he makes it a week without me drowning him in that fucking swimming pool, I'll be shocked.
Tommy, you should really be in Fort Worth for one.
Well, who's gonna do what I do here?
Pressure replacing strategy. One of the most important developments in Episode 5 is the replacement of strategy with pressure. In previous episodes, characters relied on long-term planning, calculated risk, and controlled negotiation. Episode 5 shows how quickly those strategies break down when circumstances begin moving faster than anyone anticipated. Plans that once seemed solid begin to unravel due to factors outside individual control. Regulatory delays, financial strain, and shifting alliances create a sense that no one is fully steering the situation anymore. Instead, characters find themselves reacting rather than directing. This change is critical because it signals that intelligence and experience are no longer enough. The systems at play have grown too large, too interconnected, and too volatile to be managed through careful planning alone.
Supper around here can be kind of an event, so I'm just warning you.
An event?
You just have to see it to believe it. There ain't no fucking way to describe it.
Tommy Norris and the limits of endurance. Tommy Norris, played by Billy Bob Thornton, is at the center of Episode 5's emotional weight, even when he is not driving every scene. Throughout Season 2, Tommy has relied on endurance as his primary strength. He absorbs pressure, adapts, and keeps moving forward. Episode 5 begins to expose the cost of that approach. This episode does not portray Tommy as suddenly weak or indecisive. Instead, it shows the cumulative toll of constantly carrying responsibility without relief. The strain is visible in the way he listens more than he speaks, in the pauses before his responses, and in the way he weighs decisions that once felt automatic. Episode 5 pushes Tommy toward a realization he has been avoiding. Endurance without change is not sustainability. The environment around him is no longer one where simply outlasting problems will lead to stability. That recognition marks a quiet but profound shift in his trajectory. The expanding role of consequence. Episode 5 broadens the concept of consequence beyond individual actions. Earlier episodes often focused on direct cause and effect. A decision led to a setback. A mistake led to a confrontation. In this episode, consequences become layered and delayed, surfacing in unexpected ways. A choice made episodes earlier now creates complications that cannot be easily traced back to a single moment. This complexity reinforces the idea that the world of Landman operates as a system, not a series of isolated events. When one part of the system is stressed, everything connected to it responds. The episode carefully illustrates this through small but meaningful developments. A delayed approval disrupts operations. A broken agreement creates financial instability. A single uncertainty spreads doubt through multiple relationships. These are not dramatic moments, but they carry lasting weight.
Bowman Bessie permits are in place, and you know it.
No, we don't know it. As I said last time, we had a material change of control.
The fracturing of trust. Trust begins to erode noticeably in Episode 5. Characters who once communicated openly now withhold information. Meetings end with unresolved tension. Assurances feel less convincing than they did before. What makes this erosion so effective is that it feels earned. The episode does not rely on sudden betrayals or dramatic reversals. Instead, it shows how pressure slowly alters behavior. People become cautious. Self-preservation begins to outweigh loyalty. This fracturing of trust reshapes the social landscape of the season. Alliances become conditional. Support becomes situational. Episode 5 makes it clear that trust, once broken, will not be easily repaired.
There's some things worth rushing, and others should move caterpillar slow. Marriage is a ladder, son.
Supporting characters under strain. Episode 5 gives increased attention to how supporting characters respond to mounting pressure. These individuals are not portrayed as passive observers. Their choices actively shape the environment, even when those choices are driven by fear or uncertainty. Some characters attempt to distance themselves from risk, hoping that minimal involvement will protect them. Others take firmer stances, believing that commitment is the only way to maintain leverage. The episode does not frame either response as inherently right or wrong. It presents them as realistic reactions to an unstable system. This focus adds depth to the narrative by showing that the consequences of power struggles extend far beyond the central figures. Everyone is affected, even those who never sought influence.
She's all I think about. When I close my eyes, I still see her.
Well, there's a little more to it than that.
The land as an unforgiving constant. Once again, Episode 5 reinforces that land is not merely a backdrop. It is an active force shaping every conflict. Ownership, access, and usage carry implications that go far beyond economics. The episode highlights how deeply personal these issues are, particularly for those whose identities are tied to the land. Decisions about land are decisions about legacy, survival, and belonging. Episode 5 places these decisions under intense pressure, forcing characters to confront what they are willing to sacrifice. By grounding these conflicts in tangible realities, the episode avoids abstraction. The land is not symbolic. It is practical, unforgiving, and central to every outcome.
The rig itself was shielded from our client.
That's irrelevant. Our binding agreement is with the company, not the individual who has been replaced.
The disappearance of neutrality. One of the most unsettling developments in Episode 5 is the collapse of neutrality. Characters who once believed they could remain uninvolved are forced to confront the reality that inaction is no longer safe. The episode portrays this shift subtly. Hesitation becomes noticeable, conversations become guarded, silence takes on new meaning. These moments communicate that neutrality is being interpreted as uncertainty, and uncertainty carries risk. This disappearance of neutral ground raises the stakes for everyone involved. Episode 5 suggests that survival now requires alignment, whether characters are ready for it or not.
Is this loan company stroking you a check for $40 million to put in the bank? Did you hire an accounting firm to service debt and payables?
A system under strain. Episode 5 emphasizes that the challenges facing the characters are not isolated problems. They are symptoms of a system under strain. When pressure is applied at one point, the effects ripple outward. This systemic approach distinguishes the episode from earlier installments. It shows how easily stability can collapse when interconnected systems are pushed beyond their limits. Financial structures, regulatory frameworks, and personal relationships all respond to stress in unpredictable ways. By highlighting these connections, Episode 5 reinforces one of the show's central themes. In complex industries, control is never absolute, and collapse rarely begins in obvious places.
Walt, if you want something done right, you gotta do it your fucking self.
We photographed the scene.
Emotional restraint and realism. Despite the growing tension, Episode 5 maintains emotional restraint. The episode avoids melodrama, allowing moments of silence and understatement to carry meaning. Characters do not explain their fears. They show them through behavior, a delayed response, a careful choice of words, a decision made with visible reluctance. This realism deepens the episode's impact, making the tension feel lived in rather than constructed. The audience is trusted to recognize these signals without guidance. That trust strengthens the episode's sense of authenticity. A turning point without closure. What ultimately makes Episode 5 so significant is its refusal to provide resolution. The episode ends with momentum rather than answers. Problems remain unresolved. Conflicts remain active, but the nature of those conflicts has fundamentally changed. The audience understands that the story has entered a more dangerous phase. Options are narrower. Consequences are heavier. The ability to recover from mistakes is diminishing. This lack of closure is intentional. It reinforces the idea that Episode 5 is not an endpoint, but a threshold.
I sat in the basement of your money with a goddamn nail in my fucking thigh.
Tommy.
You remember that part?
Tommy, at least have the decency to close the door if you're gonna yell at me.
Episode 5 of Landman Season 2 changes everything by clarifying the true scale of the conflict shaping the series. It strips away the illusion of control and reveals how interconnected every decision has become. This episode is not defined by a single rivalry or dramatic event. It is defined by accumulation. Pressure replaces strategy. Trust fractures, neutral ground disappears, the land asserts its influence once again. By the end of Episode 5, the audience understands that the season has fully transitioned from setup to consequence. From this point forward, survival will demand more than endurance. It will demand sacrifice, alignment, and acceptance of loss. Episode 5 does not announce its importance with noise. It earns it through patience, realism, and restraint. In doing so, it marks the moment when Landman Season 2 commits fully to its most difficult questions about power, responsibility, and the cost of holding on when everything begins to push back at once.
Neurological damage may persist.
When you say neurological, you...
Memory issues, cognitive issues, people can lose sense of taste and smell. How was his nervous system affected?
The confirmation of Landman Season 3 arrives not as a question, but as an affirmation. Paramount Plus officially renewed the series on December 5th, 2025. While Season 2 is still unfolding on screens and streaming platforms, the announcement did not wait for the current season to end. It came in the middle of the run, a sign that the network believes the story and its characters have more to give and more to explore in the world of West Texas oil. For viewers who have watched Landman from its premiere in November 2024, the news feels like a long time coming. The first 2 seasons established a world that feels undeniable in its grit, ambition, and emotional weight. The renewal confirms what fans have long suspected. The conflicts, the alliances, and the demand for survival in this part of the world are not limited to a single story arc. There are still layers to peel back, lives to reshape, and pressures to confront.
I'm listening.
Not on the phone.
We'll talk in person. We're driving up to Panhandle tomorrow. Bring a suit.
I don't have a suit.
Well, bring a jacket.
From the beginning, Landman never presented itself as a simple tale of oil and money. It is a story of identity, of power, and of the burdens that come with both. Season 3 will take those themes even further. It will expand on existing tensions, revisit unresolved struggles, and bring new pressures into the orbit of the show's central figures. The confirmation of another season means that this world, with all its complexities, will continue to matter not just to its characters, but to the audience that has embraced it.
Hey, baby, what's wrong?
A renewal in context. Renewals are always statements about success. But Landman's renewal comes with context. Paramount Plus made the decision while Season 2 was still airing, a gesture that acknowledges both the series' strong performance and its cultural impact. The show's second season premiere drew record-setting numbers, with millions of viewers tuning in within the first 48 hours of release. That alone places Landman among the most watched original series in the history of the platform.
What, like a holding tank?
An army tank.
Army tank?
Yeah. What the hell are you talking about, dude?
But Tommy say anything about the military?
Oh, I'm serious, man.
These figures are not incidental. They reflect a sustained interest from audiences who are not just watching, but engaging with the story week after week. Paramount Plus responded by locking in a third season early, signaling confidence that the narrative's momentum will not only continue, but grow. The strategy reflects the network's belief in Landman not as a one-off hit, but as a long-running drama capable of anchoring its lineup. This type of renewal is also notable because it bypasses a pattern familiar to television audiences. Often, a series must prove itself season by season, waiting for final totals before a decision is made. Landman broke that model. The fact that Paramount Plus confirmed Season 3 while Season 2 is still fresh underscores the trust the network has in the creative team and in the story's continued relevance.
Never had a job.
Never needed one.
Lucky you.
Right the other side.
The world of Landman. To understand why Season 3 matters, it is important to appreciate what Landman has built. The show is set in the Midland-Odessa region of West Texas, a place where land deals, oil rigs, and corporate pressure collide with personal ambition and human vulnerability. The narrative is grounded in real-world industry pressures and cultural context. It was co-created by Taylor Sheridan, known for character-driven dramas that explore place and identity, and Christian Wallace, whose podcast provided the foundation for the series.
Mr. Norris.
Yes, that's me.
At its center is Tommy Norris, portrayed by Billy Bob Thornton. Tommy is a landman and corporate fixer whose job is to navigate between powerful interests, volatile markets, and the shifting alliances that define the oil industry. His life is messy, his relationships are tense, his career is shaped by success and failure alike. The first two seasons of Landman charted his rise and his struggles, revealing a man who is capable, damaged, and always moving forward even when the world around him feels unpredictable. The show also brings forward other compelling characters. Cammie Miller is a widow of an oil titan who must assert her leadership at MTEX Oil in the wake of her husband's death. Galino represents a different breed of ambition, rooted in wealth and influence with a mysterious past. Sam Elliott, introduced in Season 2 as Tommy's estranged father, adds a familial dimension that intensifies Tommy's emotional journey. The ensemble performance and the world they inhabit give the series weight beyond its plot points. Landman's success stems from its fusion of personal and structural conflict. It shows the violence and vulnerability of life connected to the oil boom. It shows men and women whose decisions affect communities, landscapes, and the course of their lives. Its setting is not just backdrop, it is a character in its own right, shaping the people who move within it. This layered world is one that naturally invites continuation and deeper exploration, which is part of why Season 3 feels not only possible, but necessary.
Hey, Cammie Miller, you've been served.
Performance and recognition. Beyond viewership numbers, Landman has drawn attention for its performances and presence in awards discussions. Billy Bob Thornton's portrayal of Tommy Norris has been singled out for acclaim, earning nominations for Best Actor in Drama Series from prestigious awards organizations. The kind of recognition that the series and its cast have received reinforces the idea that this is not just another streaming drama. It is a show with depth and craft, one that resonates with both critics and audiences.
It's a very selfless sport.
I think so. It's kind of like an emotional support group, but with acrobatics.
The ensemble around Thornton has also expanded over time. Demi Moore, Andy Garcia, and Sam Elliott bring their own gravitas and complexity to the story. Other regulars, including Ali Larter, Michelle Randolph, Jacob Laughlin, and Paulina Chavez, anchor the personal and familial dimensions of the series. Each character adds texture to the narrative, and each actor's contribution helps make the world feel lived in and consequential. Awards, attention, and industry recognition often matter because they influence how a show is perceived both inside the industry and by viewers. For Landman, this recognition adds weight to the renewal. It signals that the series is more than a fleeting success. It is part of a broader conversation about quality television and storytelling that does not shy away from complexity.
All right, make this shit to go. You got a long drive.
You bet.
And you hurry your ass up and get dressed.
You need to hit a drive-thru in the way.
You know, give me Jarrell's. That whining motherfucker ain't gonna eat his.
What Season 3 could explore. At the time of the renewal announcement, specifics about Landman Season 3 were limited. Paramount Plus has not confirmed a release date or episode count. It has not laid out the story details or the central conflicts of the next season, but there is enough context in the current arc to suggest what might come next. Season 2 deepens several ongoing threads. Tommy's leadership of MTEX Oil is tested from all sides. Cammie Miller's emotional and professional journey explores grief, identity, and power in a male-dominated world. The presence of Galeno adds an undercurrent of tension rooted in wealth and influence, complicating already fragile alliances. At the same time, Tommy's relationship with his father introduces a personal conflict that has already reshaped his internal landscape. These elements naturally set the stage for further escalation. The world of Landman is one where unresolved issues rarely remain quiet. Old debts, unspoken tensions, and the costs of decisions made under pressure tend to surface when least expected. Season 3 will likely carry forward the consequences of decisions made earlier, pressuring characters to confront truths they may have avoided. This narrative continuation feels organic in the context of the show's themes of legacy, ambition, and survival. Another key factor is the continued evolution of the oil industry itself, which remains central to the series. The economic, environmental, and geopolitical pressures that shape the world in the show can serve as ongoing narrative drivers. As markets fluctuate, as alliances shift, and as personal stakes climb, the series can explore how individuals navigate forces larger than themselves while trying to keep their families and identities intact.
Love you.
Production and timing. Historical patterns from the series suggest how the timing of Season 3 might unfold. Seasons 1 and 2 each consisted of 10 episodes, released weekly, beginning in mid-November and running through January. It is reasonable to anticipate a similar schedule for Season 3, potentially arriving in late 2026. This would maintain the rhythm that audiences have come to expect while giving the production team time to develop scripts, shoot on location, and refine performances. Casting is also likely to follow existing patterns. Key actors from previous seasons are expected to return, given the ongoing nature of their storylines and the depth their characters bring to the world. While the official cast list for Season 3 has not been announced, it is likely that primary players such as Thornton, Moore, Garcia, Elliott, Larter, Randolph, Laughlin, and Chavez will reprise their roles. It is also possible that new characters will rise to prominence, especially if emerging plotlines demand fresh faces and new conflicts. Filming on previous seasons took place in Texas, capturing the unique landscape that defines Landman's visual identity. It seems almost certain that the third season will continue to use real-world settings to enhance authenticity. The environment is more than backdrop. It shapes the mood, the stakes, and the atmosphere of every scene. That commitment to place has been one of the series' strongest assets, and it is likely to remain a priority for Season 3.
Why don't you just take your licks like a fucking man and quit stealing planes and landing them on fucking active fucking roadways, all right? Matter of fact, I got a good idea. How's this?
Audience impact and cultural footprint. The effect Landman has had on audiences and its broader cultural footprint cannot be understated. The series has engaged viewers not just as entertainment, but as a reflection of a region and industry that affect real lives. Its focus on the lived realities of West Texas, on the grit of daily work, and on the emotional cost of leadership resonates with many. This resonance accounts for part of the show's longevity and is a key reason a third season was greenlighted early. The series' popularity has also sparked conversations about life in boom towns, the nature of power and influence, and the emotional toll of leadership. It has prompted interest in the real world of landmen, negotiators, and oil field workers. In some instances, viewers have sought out additional information about the industry and the communities portrayed in the show. This kind of engagement reflects a deeper connection between the audience and the narrative universe Landman has created.
Please, Mr. Oilman, tell me how the wind is bad for the environment.
Looking ahead, with Season 3 confirmed, Landman enters a new phase of possibility and expectation. The renewal acknowledges not just the performance of the series, but its narrative potential. It recognizes that the world it portrays has more stories to tell. It acknowledges that the characters, with all their flaws, ambitions, and conflicts, are only partway through their journeys. Tommy Norris's path is far from resolved. His leadership, his family relationships, and his own sense of self are all in flux. Figures like Cammy Miller, Galino, and the members of Tommy's immediate circle carry their own unfinished arcs. Each brings pressure, complexity, and unresolved emotion to the narrative. Season 3 will not arrive as an abrupt reset. It will build on what has already been established, adding layers rather than starting anew. The legacy of decisions made in previous seasons will shape the conflicts and choices of the next. The land will remain an unforgiving presence, reminding characters that nothing in West Texas comes easy.
Gas gets up over $3.50 a gallon, it starts to pinch. It hits 100, every product in America has to readjust its price.
Landman Season 3 is confirmed. It is both a continuation and a promise. It is confirmation that this world, these people, and these stories still matter. Paramount Plus has placed its confidence in the series, and audiences can now look forward to another chapter of ambitious storytelling grounded in place, conflict, and human complexity. The renewal reflects Landman's growth, its impact, and the fact that in the oil fields of West Texas, the land does not let go easily, and neither do the stories it shapes.